Hello, this PowerPoint presentation is going to be looking at the education system and a Christian perspective on homeschooling. This will be a scoop into the reality of digital technologies and the pull of homeschooling amongst Christian communities. The main discussion was an interview of my mum, Sandra Ellerman, who has worked as a teacher's aide for 20 plus years in both state and private Christian schools. So, we're going to be talking about homeschooling, the education system, because you're a teacher aide for 20 years, and how, hold up, quickly read this. Okay, it's the main things. Hold up. I'm just going to ask you questions and then I'm going to elaborate on them, okay?
But I don't have to you don't have to see me, do you?
Yeah, but it's just going to, my lecture's a sweetie. And like the rise of like, so talking about things like technology and how that's like changed kids. So we're thinking like technology, why more Christians are going to homeschool, what that means, but I'll like elaborate on it, okay? Jeez Louise.
Where am I going?
The next discussion looks at the technologies and the use of AI within the education system. Over the past few decades, there has been technology implemented in people's everyday lives, including students in a school setting. A contemporary educational issue that is prominent in mainstream education is digital technology, specifically the use of artificial intelligence, and whether it's used in accordance with the Christian worldview. Whilst technology is beneficial, there is many pushbacks from Christian parents. Many believe that the use of AI is impacting students' belief system. This will be discussed in the next video and further will be discussed in videos to come within the presentation. So, Mum, within the years that you were at a primary school classroom in the context as a teacher aide, what were some challenges that you saw from technology? What were some benefits, but then also some challenges?
I think that the benefits were that some kids don't all learn in the same ways, and so sometimes the technology helped them to learn in a different way.
Yeah.
But I also found that they were a major distraction, because once kids were on a device or using a device, sometimes it was very difficult to get them off without there being some sort of like chanting, basically.
Yeah. So, with that being said, whilst it is good, there is some limitations to it in the fact that if it's not implemented right,
yep,
with limitations there is going to be adverse effects or the things that we don't want within the classroom. Now, relating that to a Christian worldview, as a Christian, how do you think that can impact the children spiritually?
I think because children are more exposed to devices at home, and again, as you said, if they're used in the right way, they'll be beneficial to the child. But if children are allowed to have free rein on them, then they are exposed to things that they shouldn't be exposed to, and they have no concepts of being able to discern what's good and what's bad at certain ages. And so I think they just learn things too quickly, and things that are inappropriate for their age.
Yeah. And does this have any psychological impacts on the children?
I believe so. I think it's because it becomes learned behaviour. You know, if they see things, they want to mimic it, or if they see things that they think are cool, and maybe some of their friends think it's cool, then they'll want to do the same sorts of behaviours.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's just not beneficial.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you can't control, what a kid does on a device so much.
Yeah.
I know there's parental controls, but they don't always work, and some people don't know how to set them up.
Yeah, and they'll be really tricky. In a classroom context, there's 30 children, whereas if you opt for more an alternative homeschooling approach, then I guess it's a lot more easy for Christian parents to then disciple their children and raise them, and ensuring that their minds aren't impacted through things that they never wanted to see in the first place. So it just ensures that, as a Christian educator or parent, we're making sure that we are filtering what our children sees, and that it glorifies Christ. And supports a biblical perspective. Homeschooling and Christian educators. Homeschooling supports parents in being the primary role model and moral guide within their child's life. Romans 12:2 talks about the importance of being able to discern. Primary age students are still trying to make sense of the world around them, which is learned through experience. This suggests that to some degree there is information that students wouldn't be able to discern due to a lack of experience at filtering information. This topic is discussed below in the video in which Sandra addresses. It is also important to address the role of Christian educators in education facilities, as not every Christian parent is capable or willing to homeschool. Christian educators can implement Christian values and doctrine within mainstream education, which further supports the concepts of Proverbs 22:6. This concept was also touched on by Sandra in the video below. Do you think that Christian educators can play a role within the mainstream schooling systems and support the Bible or biblical perspective?
I think they can to a degree, but I also think, like from my observations of working in a Christian school and working in a non-Christian school, I think that there's still aspects that have to be taught within the curriculum. And that's not guided by biblical principles. And so I think it's difficult to focus solely on biblical principles if the hierarchy and the upper echelons aren't making that a primary focus.
Totally. So it's important that, as Christians and Christian parents, that we are ensuring that our children are focused and their minds being trained and discipled correctly.
Because I know even in schools, like you see, like you were talking about before about having 30 kids. Now, if 30 kids are using whatever it is, a computer or whatever, like it's very hard to keep eyes on 30 kids. And they're a lot smarter than we are. And they're a lot quicker. And so they learn how to hide things quicker, and they can go into things and, like, I might think that it looks okay. But then I find out, no, it's really not okay. And so I think, it's very hard to keep on top of things when it changes so rapidly. And so, like, the content, even though you might think it's okay, is sometimes not okay.
And I know I did say the last question, however, I do have one more. Do you think that there should be a real concern within the Christian community with the influence that Gen AI or like artificial intelligence has within the schooling system, or do you think we should turn our head and not acknowledge that?
No, definitely acknowledge it. Because I think in a lot of ways, like, while I think computers and things have their place, I believe that the introduction of all that into the school system, I believe, is like dumbing kids down. Like, they're not getting smarter, they're getting actually dumber. And when, you've got kids that can't read and write without the use of a computer, then that's a problem. Because, like, that's their basic things that all kids should learn.
Like life skills.
And if they're, like, even maths, like, if you're doing maths and it's all done online, then you're not, sitting down and actually working it out yourself. And so I just think that with AI, like, no, it probably has its place, but I don't think it's within the school system. Like
Cool.
let kids learn to be kids and learn, you know, strategies rather than learning how to fix something
Yeah.
by a computer.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.